Welcome to Eerie Bites of History, your daily serving of strange bites of the past. Today we have a woman fated to cheat death at sea, a bloody clash on new shores, and a festival that changed cinema forever, all of which happened on September 20th. Let's begin. On September 20th, 1911, the RMS Olympic, a luxury liner and sister ship to the Titanic, collided with the British warship HMS Hawke while navigating the busy waters of Solent between the Isle of Wight and mainland England. On board was Violet Jessop, a young stewardess who had already chosen a life at sea despite the hardships of the job. The collision tore open part of the Olympic's hull, throwing passengers into a panic as water began to flood the vessel. Miraculously, the ship managed to return to port without sinking, and no lives were lost. For Jessop, however, this frightening brush with disaster was only the beginning. Less than a year later, she would famously survive the sinking of the Titanic, clinging to life in a lifeboat through the freezing night. And then in 1916, during World War I, she was aboard the hospital ship the Britannic when it struck a mine and went down. Once again, she survived. Her story is often told of one of sheer luck, but it also is about resilience, the ability to continue to work at sea despite the experiences that would have driven most people away forever. 3 shipwrecks? Luck was definitely on Violet Jessop's side. It's amazing to think of surviving one traumatic crash at sea, let alone 3. She pushed past the events and continued working with determination, something I wonder how many of us could be able to do after so many brushes with death. On September 20th, 1565, one of the earliest and bloodiest clashes of European powers in the New World took place. Spanish forces led by Pedro Menendez de Alves attacked the French settlement of Fort Caroline near present-day Jacksonville, Florida. The French had established the fort as both a safe haven for Protestants fleeing persecution in Europe and a foothold in the Americas. Spain, being fiercely Catholic and determined to control the region, saw the settlement as both a religious threat and a territorial challenge. Menendez and his soldiers launched a surprise assault at dawn. The French defenders were caught off guard, overwhelmed by the Spanish attack. Most of the garrison was killed in the fight, and many others were executed shortly after the battle. The massacre was brutal, but it was also the beginning of Spain's firm grip on Florida, and the region that would soon become the southeastern United States. This grim event stands as one of the first times Europe's religious wars spilled directly on American soil, showing that the rivalries of the Old World could not remain confined to Europe. This is cited as the first clash in the New World, and history often repeats itself when intolerance and fear are stronger than coexistence. On September 20th, 1946, the French Riviera became the stage of a new celebration of art and culture. The very first Cannes Film Festival, originally planned for 1939, the event was postponed when World War II broke out, and for years Europe was consumed by conflict and destruction. When the war finally ended, the festival was revived, not just as a showcase for cinema, but as a symbol of recovery, optimism, and enduring human need for storytelling. That inaugural year brought together films and filmmakers from around the world representing a wide range of voices and styles. It was more than just a competition, it was a gathering of culture, proof that art could survive in the face of devastation. Over time, the festival would grow into one of the most prestigious film festivals in the world, launching careers, sparking controversies, and shaping the history of cinema. What began in that September day was not just a festival, it was the rebirth of imagination in a world desperate for light after years of darkness. The festival seemed like the light at the end of a dark tunnel. It was a way to bring people together, connecting people's creativity, and should be looked at not just as a festival, maybe as the rebirth of imagination in a world desperate for light after years of darkness. Like your history snack-sized? Drop us a comment with your favorite bite and subscribe. Join us daily for your eerie dose of the past.